Well, hello, welcome to the Train Buddy Shop. Another exciting episode. Well, maybe not. Yes, we have a Jeep 18 here. This is a really nice model. This is Aberdeen and Rockfish. I don't know if this was a hand paint or not, but looks like it. Not because it's bad, but I don't remember them doing one of these. So, in any case, this is a LifeLike, and these early LifeLike models. One of the issues was the axle gear was cracked. So the first thing I do is always check for axle gear cracks, and I do this. And if the wheels actually move, so these don't. If the wheels move, that means that the axle gear is cracked and you have to replace the axle gear. In this case, I've already checked these. These are in pretty good shape. Whether they've been replaced or not doesn't really matter. It's one of those things that you need to test for. That one feels a little funny. Anyways, we'll test that out and test that theory out as we go along. This already has a decoder in it. Somebody has added this decoder. These engines do not come with decoders. And this particular customer wants me to add sound. Well, okay. Sure. Part of the issue with doing that is, where do I put the speaker? I probably could put the speaker somewhere in here. This is not how I would have done this. Typically, we take these leads and they go down the side this way. I'll show you that, because if I don't do anything else, I'm going to modify that so that works. We may have to cut the weight here. We may have to mill the weight out. I could use one of the little speakers, one of the sugar cube speakers, and we could put a sugar cube speaker somewhere in this region. We might try to do that. We might cut this off altogether, especially if I'm going to resolder this down on the side here. There's no reason for all of this metal being in here, and then that would give us some additional space there to put a sugar cube speaker in there. What's it look like on the inside? Well, look, it's totally gutted. This would have had little guys in the side here, and so this is gutted without any guys in the side. There's no need to have these two pins here, so we can cut those off if we're not going to have it. We've got plenty of light showing up through here and here. Oh, look, they painted this black on purpose here. Probably because of the lights, but there's no lights in here. Someone started putting lights in but didn't put any in. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to test that out. The gray wire goes down here, down to the base of this, but it's kind of in the way of the flywheel. Okay, so some challenges, but we're going to do it, and so let's remove this decoder. Maybe I'll test the engine, test the motor with the decoder in it, see what we've got. And clean this up a bit. Probably cut this off and reattach this. I'm going to remove the weight. It's got two screws, one at each end here and here, that you can get without taking the trucks off. And sometimes it has another couple in here. You remove this by just pulling it off. These two actually hold the weight on, so we'll remove those and get the weight off. And then yeah, let's see where we are at that point. Okay, so I just had to film this. I mean, so I put it on the system and it tells me it's an NCE decoder, and so I was trying to figure out which one it was because I couldn't tell from it. And as I'm pulling the tape off, and again, I just had to film this. As I'm pulling the tape off, all of a sudden, right, I'm doing this very slow on purpose here. Oh, do you see this? Let's get a close-up of this. There's a piece of metal, there's a piece of trash, right? That's a piece of either solder or what else. It's underneath the tape. And so what happened here, now think about this, right? This is on the decoder, this piece of metal is on the decoder. Now, it probably didn't short anything out, or did it, right? We don't know. But this is a problem, right? So I'm just saying, you got to be careful, right? Because you can't have that. You can't have those little pieces of trash hanging in there. So I'm going to take this and throw it out. I don't want to get it into anything, right? All right, just had to show that. And so, as I suspected, on the back, it's a D10 or D102 SR brevet. Okay, and other marks there that probably tell batch numbers and other stuff, but that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I've cut the tabs off the tops of each one of these, as you can see, because we're never gonna. I mean, they were there when this was DC, and we're never going back to DC here. Whoever put the decoder in here used a whole bunch of black gook, and I guess it's okay, but it was stuck on the top of the motor and made it difficult to get out. But we're going to go ahead and put some wires on here to get started. Orange on the, or gray on the bottom and orange on the top. I don't know if you've seen it in other videos, but we're not going to just do that. We're going to test it. It should be right rail, so going forward, assuming this is forward. We'll look on the engine for an F mark. There it is. That's forward. Okay, forward, and looking at the cab. So coming back out here, looking for the top of the cab. Right. So does it fit like that, or does it fit like this? Well, in this particular case, it could be either way, couldn't it? It fits both ways. Doesn't appear to be any forward and backwards. I'm going to double check on that to see what the situation is there, but at first blush, it doesn't look like there's a forward and backwards. The only thing I can gather is that the motor is farther back on this side than it is on this side, so that would mean that the cab, typically the cab would be up here. Okay, and if the cab is up here, then that's forward. All right, then that's forward. The other way to tell is from the tank. Right, so we're looking at the tank. The tank would be this way. All right, so the fill and the meter, right? Again, this one's not well marked here, but the fill and the meter would be towards the front. Okay, so this definitely goes that way because of where these are. This would definitely go that way. Okay, would be towards the cab. I'm sorry, and so the cab would fit like this. Okay, cab would fit like that. And that's basically what I said, which is the motor is offset towards the back, and so because it's offset towards the back, the cab would be this way. So this is forward, right? this is forward, this is forward. Yeah. Oh, look, this has to fit on top of it too. So, yeah, there you go. Perfect. So that's forward. You know, we can. Sometimes it's helpful to do this, right? F. Right, that's forward. So when you do that, when you've already figured that part out, then the right rail. So RR, right rail, is going to be plus, typically, right, or red. And the left rail, LR, right, is going to be minus, and that's going to be black. Okay. Well, when the motor is put in, when you put the motor in it, right, then in order to go forward, so that's in the same situation, in order to go forward, the I'm going to have to hook up one of the ends in order to test this. The right rail, right, so I put about 6 or 7 volts on this, right, and hooking this and this together, right, one here and one down here, see which way it rotates. This is going to be tricky. Okay. So it's rotating in this direction. And if I rotate, you know, this is, you got all the stuff out, right? It's hard to do this. But if you rotate this, right, which way do the wheels go? Which direction do the wheels go? Do they go in, kind of get yourself a semi-shaft here. Oh! Would almost be better to hook it up here. Hold on. So I'm not holding my mouth right. Holy cow, hold on. There we go, finally I got it on there. So the motor's going in this direction, so if I rotate this, right, you can see the movement, right? The movement of the truck is in that direction. So with that being the case, now which way were the wires? Let's go back over again, right? The way it was hooked up originally was this was plus, right? This was plus, and the bottom was minus. Let's check that out, right? No, it's not doing anything. Oh, wow. Well, that's going the wrong way. Okay, so then this being plus and this being minus means it's going in that direction. And if that's the case, watch the polarity here. This is minus, this is plus. Right, and we're going to mark that right here, right? This is minus, right? This was plus, right? Was that right? I got to go back and check it again. Check the video, right? So then this is going to be the gray wire, and this is going to be the orange wire. So if that's the case, then this was hooked up backwards to begin with, because I remember it was orange on top and gray on the bottom, which is opposite of the way it should have been. All right, well, let me hook that up and be right back. And so So neatness counts. I mean, I wanted to share with you. I mean, when you make a connection, make a nice connection. Don't have a lot of extra solder hanging around. You know, you're just asking for problems. You really are. We're going to clean this motor up, clean the commutator up. We're going to put some grease on it and all the rest of that before we put it back in here. We want it to have a fairly good reading on the meter. It should be somewhere around 150 milliamps when it's running, and we're going to test for that. We don't really need to test for stall current, although I'll do that. These are a known quantity, and typically they're in good shape if this is the same. This is the stock motor, which it is. So we'll run it. Matter of fact, let me do that while I've got the machine on, and we got all the rest of this, and we got the motor out, and we'll do the test. I'm just don't have a way to show the camera. Maybe one day we'll do that. But, so hooking the minus to the gray wire and the plus to the red wire. Now we need something to hold the wires down. The hammer, that's what we need, yeah. Okay, now let's turn it up and see what we got. At 4, 5, 6 volts, we're at 80 milliamps, so double that, 160. I'll take that. Okay, now I'm going to hold it, keep it from running, and again at 6 volts. 6 volts are right at a half an amp, and that means a full amp at 12 volts, which is what it's rated for, and the system will be good for that. Now I can lube this and make it better, but this is pretty good. I'm going to lube it anyhow, just because I can. All right. You know, we're going to go ahead and install it. One of the things that I noticed is this piece of metal is down here, and whoever had installed it, rightfully so, had insulated that. They used some sticky tape, and there's nothing wrong with sticky tape, but Captain tape is the preferred for this kind of installation, and this is typically what we use. So I'm going to take a piece of sticky tape. Take a piece of Captain tape, and we're going to put it around this edge right here, because that's what would short out right in. Turning this around, we short out right in this spot. So that's all we're going to do. All right, be back. So I've got the speaker out that I think I'm going to use. It's a Sugar Cube speaker from Soundtrax. Other companies make them, but this is the one I've got in stock. And I'm looking at room to put it, and we talked a little bit about I could put it up here where the cab is. Oh, I don't know if you hear that or not, but this has got a magnet in it because it's a speaker, right? And this is metal. This is metal. It's all metal, but this is steel right here. These clips, right, that I cut off, right, they're steel, and so they stick to this magnet. Well, if I put it right here, even if I get it real close, it's going to stick on that, and this is moving back and forth, right? As the wheel moves, it's back and forth. So that's not going to work there. Now I could turn it over this way, right? And I could have it go up this way. That would be maybe okay. I could actually put it in like this, right? I might even be able to put it in there somewhere. But the question really is, what if I put it up in here? Oh, it looks like there's already a spot. There's an opening for the fan. And maybe I could turn the speaker, if that's the speaker, right up this way. And I could put it in here. Oh, look, it fits. It fits. Now I'm going to ignore the fact that there's a light right there for the moment, right? Right? So we'll modify that. But that fits up right in there like that, okay? Now I can try this, right, and put the top on like this, and it appears that it goes all the way down. I've tried this already, so I know that it works, but it appears to go all the way down. But I want to double check that. And so lots of times if you can't, get it together and do that, and you're just checking for room, this is how you do it, right? I use a digital one, but because it works in thousands and tenths of thousands. But anyways, and then just measure the height of this, right? So here it is, looks like it's I'm going to say 0.9, looks like it's hard to see there, but 0.846, and as I move it up here, about 0.9 my finger says. So I'm going to go with 0.9 there, and then I'm going to look at I measured it from the walkway edge, and that walkway edge goes to the bottom of this walkway. So from that walkway edge up, and actually if I put this on 0.9 right here, right, like that, and lock it in, now this is the depth, right? And I don't know if you can see this or not. That's the depth, right? And it clears the speaker, which is cool, right? So I've got that much room all the way through here, right? From there up that I could put something, and it actually clears the speaker. So I could put the speaker right there if I want. Actually, I could put it anywhere in here. The other thing is that's how much room I have for the decoder. So try to figure out whether the decoder is going to fit in there. It's going to fit on the top of this. I can do it that way. The other way to do it is to do it, well, the other way, right? Which is starting from here, put the heel in, right? And then let it go down, right? Like this. And it says it's 1.239, which is probably close, right? From there all the way to the top. Now that's not, it's got like little ledges here, so that's not, doesn't count those, and you'd have to pay attention to that. But 1.239, right? And then I put it like this, right? And it shows me the deviation, or how much decoder I can put in there, okay? So while I might be able to put one that's got a package to it, right? I could put a board decoder in there too. So we're going to look at both of those options, all right? Just talk to the customer. The customer wants the economy, if we can do it, and I think we can, because this is one of the sounds that the economy has is an EMD 567, which is the earlier ones, and of course the Jeep18 was an earlier unit. So just had to capture that information. All right, so I tried a couple different spaces, different configurations, and what I'm looking at right here I think is the best. I was trying to put it in the back, and there's just not enough room to have the top of this and the speaker, even though that looked like it initially that there was plenty of room to do that. It's just not enough, so it was a little tight when I tried it. I think this is going to be the best spot for it. Now it might be a little bit higher if we need to. The decoder then could fit like this. If we look at the documentation, it shows, forward, backwards, and so again, using the bullseye or the processor as the key, right, to where this would go. We might want to give us some room here where if we have to carve out a little bit, we will, but I think this is perfect just where it is. And like I said, maybe just a little bit higher, but there's plenty of room for the decoder in here. There is a pin out here for the keep alive, or current, different names for the same thing. This is a current keeper. Soundtrax is named for this current keeper. But interestingly enough, the plug goes in the side here, and this is a narrow chassis. And with the plug going in the side, there's no room to allow on that side, maybe, just maybe, there's just a slight bit, but we'll have to check on that and see. And if I put the current keeper in, where am I going to put it? I got to have some place to put it in the shell too. So it might work, it might not work, we'll see. In any case, we're good to go with this. This is the right configuration. While I was testing, I nicked the gray wire. Uh-oh. I nicked it. This is not good, so I'm going to pull this off, redo the wire. We're not going to use that wire. I'm not going to patch it, just redo it. All right. Alrighty, so we're about ready to put this this puppy together. Decided the speaker will go right here on this engine. Let me center it and get it a little bit closer for you here. And so if it's going right there, focus in. If it's going right there, we want to go ahead and put some wires on it. So I had some purple wire, which is appropriate for this. I'm just going to tack it to those two. Now that it goes right there on the decoder, S plus and S minus. And in this case, since there's not more than one, it's not relevant which one is plus and which one is minus. If there were more than one speaker, then it would be relevant. But needless to say, the wire is just long enough to reach that. So we're going to go ahead and solder that. And as I mentioned in earlier on, right, we want to get something heavy. Again, I use KD pliers that'll stick to it, right? Sticking to it. Something heavy to it so that the soldering iron doesn't pick it up and it'd be hot. So I got to tin the wires and solder them to this. Be back. Hold on. Okay then, so what I've determined is that the best place for this would be right there, and there just happens to be a notch right there. I don't know whether that was made by the person who was trying to install this or whatever, but it became very convenient here. I found a piece of an electronic component that I had in my kit, my spare parts, my trash, and so I drilled. I found out it was 50 thousandths, so I drilled a 50 thousandths hole, and I have to be real careful because there's a speaker here. I don't want to damage the speaker, so I need to somehow put this in here and at an angle, right, so that it goes in there at an angle like that, and then I'm going to put it right there like that, and it's going to be perfect, just like that. I'm going to use, I could use, couldn't use plastic glue, but I could use an epoxy. So I'm going to use, I get this steel weld epoxy that I've used on other projects, and so I'm going to use this. This is a fairly quick setup time, and we're going to epoxy all that in there, and then I'm going to cut this off, and then we'll be ready to go from there. But it doesn't, again, does not touch the bottom piece. We wanted to have some airspace there, quite a bit of airspace. And down rather than up, because I want to put a light across the top of that. If you can see up inside of here, there's a light way that's right there. So the light would kind of be right where that pin is. So I think this is going to be a good fit. We're going to try it. So while we're waiting for it to dry, I want to look at some other things here about orientation. The board goes in here somewhere. If we look at the top, there are lights right here and here, and so if I look at the system schematic, right, headlight, right, tail light, come off of the centers of those two, motor leads here, right, speaker off of this side. So what I want to try to do is I want to try to put in LEDs that will go up and at an angle, and I can use I had one in here. This is not the one I use, but 3mm, right? And I can put them at an angle, right, like this, right? If I can get them up to where that they will just go right, shining right into that port and this port, and I can put them on the board, and that will leave the shell free, so I can take the shell on and off, right, to troubleshoot and other things. So it needs to be right there. This one here would have to be farther back, because again, if you look at the way this is, it's all the way towards the back here. Okay, so kind of laying this down by the side of it like this to get us a better idea. Right, this one would fit somewhere in here, right, like this, and so I might want to move this down just a tad, right there. And I got to put a resistor in there too, okay. And then this one here would be just like this, okay. And that looks like that'll work. So straight down with a resistor on it. So this should be centered between these 2 points, right? So I'll go about measuring that while we're waiting for this epoxy here in the speaker to set up. It's I've got a 10-minute setup time, which is not too bad for epoxy, but we'll let that go ahead, and we'll measure these out to make sure that we're almost center. We don't have to be perfectly center. And I'm going to go ahead and put those. I'm going to find the right LEDs in there. I'm going to put those LEDs in their mounting with the resistors and solder that in. Again, it's just a straightforward thing. So we're